Hello, and welcome to another video podcast.
Don't do that.
This is gross.
If you feel like a grape and you only have raisins,
Don't do that.
you have two nostrils.
This
Okay.
wins
All
the
right.
most disgusting episode so far.
It's something that I still do, and I still do it and love it.
Don't do that.
Look, awards are great. Some are obviously more prestigious than others.
This month, coming up right here on this podcast.
Speaking of things that you may not want to know,
Come sit in somebody's lap.
Don't do that.
People know I hire talent sometimes, so I get 500 business cards at the conference too. Guess what? They stay in the room when I leave.
They wanted a British accent,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
and I don't have any samples with a British accent. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another VO podcast.
I'm voice actor Jeff Williams, and when I'm not busy being a crack dealer, because I'm also a chiropractor, I listen to another VO podcast. Thanks for listening. Now let's turn it over to this gaggle of knuckleheads. Hey, Charles, what did the five fingers say to the face? Seriously, I'll be here all week. Tip you waiters.
Hey, it's Jen Henry. Thanks for listening to another VO podcast. Hey, every time you listen all the way through, each guy looks a day younger. So keep it up. How long before Jacob looks like a toddler?
Hi, it's Brad Hyland, voiceover actor and coach and mentor, and you're listening to another VO podcast. And by the way, I'm the voice of Santa Claus for Elf on the Shelf. Ho, 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 ho! Why does that matter? Stick around.
Hey there, what's going on? Here we are into early December, and it's been a while since you have heard from, I can't say gang. I do remember that. Jake doesn't like to be in gangs.
I don't
It's
like
been
to
a
be in
while.
Jake's
Mom
only
said
allowed
not
to
to
be
be
in
in
one
gangs.
gang.
Gang,
And if
right.
they find out about this gang, he's in trouble.
Yeah, this one can get in trouble.
Exactly.
yeah.
So here we are back as the Hollywood Squares, the four of us back together, and we have kind of decided we're going to call this a finale in a way, but this could be a season-ending finale. It could be, we don't know when we're going to do this again finale. These guys are dropping in on VO Life as they can, when they can, and we're going to continue to do that. And I know Charles already has a couple times. But we just felt like we didn't have good closure when we
didn't.
left. We left OVC, did a live episode there, and we just never finished up because we were all going through so much stuff and so many changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right. It was crazy.
let's just go around the horn and talk about things. And I'm going to tell you the thing I'm proud of is watching how you guys transitioned this year. All of you transitioned in a different way, and it worked.
Mhm.
And it worked. And that is just proof that there is no one freaking road to travel in voiceover. We are all four still traveling a different road, although there's some differences in part-time and full-time now. You are focusing on some other things, but it hasn't taken away from your voiceover business. So let's start with Jake, who was the first person to come tell us, hey, I got to make some changes. And Jake, it's paid off, man. Tell us about
Oh my gosh.
Tell us.
Yeah. So if you've listened to the other episodes when we talked about this, I did come from the world of private aviation, and I started doing voiceover towards the end of my initial tenure doing that. I had done it for about 8 years. I was an account manager. At the end of last year, I was kind of like feeling the pressure because I was just like, man, I'm booking stuff, but it's not enough stuff to make like an actual like annual living. So I started looking for some jobs at the end of last year. I was reaching out to people I had worked with before, and none of them really had any openings. I was even like I was on like monster.com or any of those sites that was just like, I was getting notifications for like at home, like customer service jobs, just something that I could do at home to try and maintain doing voiceover and that work. And then nothing was clicking, nothing that, so I just kind of trudging along. Well, then January came along. I had my best year ever at that point in voiceover. So I was like, okay, well, maybe this year's going to turn around. I had a pretty good March, had a pretty good February, pretty good March. Or maybe I didn't have a good March. Can't remember. Anyway, one of those months was pretty small. And I was like, okay, this is a little nerve wracking. But then I got a phone call from somebody that I used to work with. And they were like, hey, we have an opening. Do you gave me the specs of the job. Is that something you think you want to do? And I said, sure. So I got my resume ready and I reached out to who would become my boss. We talked about it, and that was at the beginning of April, and I was hired. My first day was April 29th. I found out about the job at the beginning of the month, got the job by the end of the month. and it's completely remote. It's a small company, but I was able to do both voiceover and that in tandem, and I still am. I still have that job. But something crazy happened after that is that I was able to kind of jump up a tier in Voice 123. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're listening to this, if you have the experience, if you are able to maintain 20% in any kind of the membership tiers that you have under the top one, switch to the top one because then if you're able to do that, you start seeing auditions a lot earlier. One of the things I've been able to do with this new tier in 123 is, I mean, like I'm always one of the top 5 people to submit, especially for an audition that I really want to do. And that just seems to be the trick for me. I'm not killing it like Chuck Booker over there, but it's enough to like that plus whatever I bring in with my other job. I mean, like this has been my best year in voiceover ever. And I'm talking about just strictly voiceover too. But I strongly believe it has something to do with the fact that like I was able to jump into that top tier. Not only that, my agency bookings went up. I've booked with one job, at least I booked one job with each of my agents this year, which is wild.
Would you say that picking up that other income took the pressure off and allowed you to really get into VO deeper?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. And I should have led with that too. When you don't have the pressure of like, I need to get this job versus like, it'd be cool to get this job, but if I don't, no worries. That totally affects your performance. And I think we've talked about it. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before. I've heard other people talk about it. And I know it's so hard to do when you do have that pressure, right? Because getting out of your own way is the best way to like, I think gives you the best opportunity to book a job.
Right.
And yes, you're right. Having that job allowed me to like get out of my head because it's like, hey, this job's really cool. If I get it, sweet. If not, oh well, because I'm not going to drown and I don't have to worry about, anything like that. So that's, I should have led with that. You're right. But exactly. You nailed it on the head. Was just like having that extra job definitely takes the pressure off of booking. And that just only enhanced my performance in my auditions.
Yeah. And that's what I want people to hear out there, that people that are part-time sometimes are panicking that they're not full-time. That's not the thing to panic about. The thing you need to do is relax, take your time, do the auditions you should do them well, and get the pressure off yourself somehow. You got to get the pressure off yourself. And then Alden, you have some similarities in things that, you branched out and did something different. How did that work for you?
Yeah. It's working pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I had the opportunity. I wasn't looking to add a second job, but excuse me. But I had the opportunity. The church I go to came to me and asked if I would be willing to come on staff as a part-time leading in their discipleship ministry. And, so I thought about it, prayed about it, and thought, okay, well, I think I have time because I'm not super busy all the time. Even though I was having a pretty decent year for the first several months of 2024. So I started that. I'm really glad I did because the summer just went dead for me. So it was nice to have something else that I was working on, at the same time, because otherwise my income was not going to be what it was. And then in the fall, more long form narration opportunities started popping up, which I hadn't done much of since the very beginning. So I've done a few audiobooks this fall, and looks like I've got another one coming up. Nice. And, not super high paid ones, but kind of in the middle, which is better than I started out when it was really low and doing it just for peanuts. Right. And so, and I've got a really some good work on web-based training, which I really do enjoy. It's very technical, but I love the challenge of making technical sound like it's natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
That's sweet. And that web-based training, that guy's kept coming back to you a lot. Is that the one?
Yeah. That company has used me a lot, and really we've got a good relationship going.
That's awesome.
That's the key right there.
Exactly.
That's what you want.
One of the small similarities that Alden and I have, we have a book or a base business that seems repeatable, and it kind of is steady, and that was the change for me this year. Is I came into the year with that base, and I finally was able, about I don't know, a third of the way through the year to go, you know what? Even if I don't get anything else, it's enough. And I had to take the pressure off myself.
Yeah.
And that was, that made a big difference. And then I started booking more stuff on the pay to plays.
Especially VDC, dude. Like that's wild.
I've been, blessed on there, getting a lot of jobs. But the odd thing is this is going to be the first year, unless something happens in the next few weeks, I have not booked an agency job this year. That's wild. But I cut a lot of, I'm down to 3 agents from 6 or 7.
Wow.
So I cut things out to where what comes in is usually in my wheelhouse or should be close. It's That's a lot of, it's either Southern Southwest Texas or an announcer, a sports announcer or something like that. And I'm just starting to see more of that here at the end of the year. And, I've had a couple of callbacks. I didn't get the thing. That's fine. But overall, I'm working way less, doing way less jobs, but making more money.
Isn't that the goal? That's like the dream, right? That's the dream. So
I can, where I was killing myself 8 hours a day auditioning for things I'd never get. Now I'll come in here and I may spend 2.5, 3 hours in the booth all day. And that's doing my marketing, doing everything, maybe 4. And then I'm out of here. But I'm making as much or more than I was making in the first part of the year. And actually, November was huge. And my wife had surgery. We weren't here much. We went through a house remodel a while back. I mean, it was almost impossible to work. But my income never dropped, and it actually went up. But I'm starting to track dollars per job. So I'm saying I did this many jobs in November, and I made this much. So my average was, and I think it was like $398 or something, like $400 per job or whatever. And then when I go back and look in January and February, it was like $180 per job. So that tells me it's working, and I just have to keep going. Now, Charles's journey, I think Charles set a path over a year ago, probably 2 years ago, to where he was investing to make things happen. And that's worked. Charles, tell us how things have changed for you this year.
I didn't really invest much before. This is why though, because I didn't look at it as an investment. I looked at it as, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for that. I'm paying for this. I'm like my savings or my checking account is getting smaller because I'm doing this thing. That's the way I looked at it. And about a year ago, I started really investing more in coaching. Really investing more in ways to get feedback for my reads. And it's paid itself multiple times over.
That's awesome.
And because it's also kind of like the thing like Jake was saying, the stress off your shoulders a little bit, because I utilized the training that I got and the coaching that I got and the feedback, stood up for myself a little bit more. I was able to stand up for myself more on my rates.
Yes.
I got some pretty big whoppers this year. And it was all because of standing on my rates.
Yeah.
And knowing your stuff too, knowing how to stand on your rates.
Yeah, and knowing how to stand on your rates and knowing who to turn to ask questions, talking to you guys about stuff, talking to other professionals that deal with rates and usage and setting and paying for time to be with them.
Yeah.
Right?
Just to kind of to touch on that real quick too, and talking about like you investing, if I remember correctly, at one point, I think for one of your more sizable jobs, you paid to talk to the GVAA people, right? Or the Gravy for the Brain people, one of them.
No. Yeah. GVAA.
Yeah. See, and that was worth it too, right?
Yeah. Totally worth it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yep. And it was even one of those where they weren't asking for anything, but it's like, hey, I'm paying for you're taking time, and they were on the phone with me for about an hour, or on Zoom, and we're going through numbers and looking at things, and it's just like, how much is your hourly rate? And then he told me, and then I just tossed him the money, because that right there, that's number one, a thank you from me for taking the time out, and this was before the results even came back from what I was going to end up doing, with that discussion. And I mean, it's investing now I look at everything as an investment.
Yeah.
Because it really, and the thing is, you can pay for a lot of stuff, but if you don't take the coaching, right? If you don't take what's and use and put into practice then it's wasted money.
Right.
So looking at those things, doing the things that I was coached, taking the feedback with professionals, it's made a gigantic difference.
Mm-hmm. So
and because of that
coaching question.
Yeah.
So what you may have done, and I've asked this to guests on the podcast at times. You have gone to some really good coaches. I think you have another one coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of the year. Okay. So are you finding that you are building your method off of pieces of each one of those other methods?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
Because one of my coaches that I'm with now kind of teaches a little bit opposite of the coach that I'm going to be with in January.
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so, but I take those,
have to build.
I take those little nuggets, of knowledge, and I make my own gold bar, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some things and a lot of times you can read a script, you could read the specs, and maybe one of your coaches, the way they coach, it's like, man, this doesn't really fit this at all. Right. Or you're like, okay, well, I have a feeling of feeling how this is going to go for take one, but I'm just going to come out of left field for take two and do everything this coach told me, for take two. So, and because I've gotten more sizable jobs, it's taken a lot of pressure off me also. So now, kind of like Jake was saying, it's like, you guys you have some, pressure relief. Now you're kind of riding the wave. It's a little more fun, Yeah. And so when you do your auditions, it's like, okay, like,
I enjoy this.
It's not like, not like I have to get this, because if I don't get this one, then man, I don't know if I'm going to make my payments, for this month.
You don't feel like you have to be perfect, right? Like you just there's this feeling, and I've had this before. I ever had that job too, but there's sometimes you walk into a job and you just know it, right? Like you just know. I mean, maybe you don't always get it, but there have definitely been jobs where I have done it, I've submitted it, and go, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that job, and I've gotten that job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like there was one job a couple years back on VDC. Like I read the script, I knew that's all I had was the script, and I was like, I think I know exactly what this is going to sound like. I did it, and I kid you not, 10 minutes later, I had the job. I mean, yeah, and that's what and that's the thing is like. That's kind of what it feels like when you have that pressure off of you all the time. Every time, like you step into the booth and even though you may not get every job, and you're not going to get every job, but you still feel like, I
left it all on the table. That was, I couldn't have done any better on that.
Right.
One.
Yeah. And but the thing is kind of like you said, like you're having fun with it. Like you enjoy the process. Like you talk to actors, or you say you talk to actors, you hear actors, like actual like film actors and stuff like that. They talk about like, what's one of the worst things about being an actor? Auditioning. But the thing is like, they have to get that job and to get paid. Right. When you don't have that pressure of like, I don't need this job, but it'd be great to get it. Or like, I'm going to have fun with it. You know what comes through the most in those reads?
Yourself.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yourself. And what do you hear at conferences? What do you hear from your coaches? What do you hear from casting directors that they want to hear? What do they want to hear in your read?
Yeah, they want to hear you.
Exactly. They want to hear yourself. Like, and when if you can find a way, it doesn't maybe that, like, again, that way for me ended up being getting a second income, if you can find like that for Charles, that was like, taking things away from other coaches, applying it to his method, and then and turning that into bookings. That for Troy is like realizing he has the steady work. For Alden, realizing their steady work. I mean, like when you have something that you can cling on to kind of take that pressure of auditioning away from yourself, you can turn that into like yourself. You can take that and run with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, so like the hymn spot that I did, right? The specs in the hymn spot was you're talking to these guys that are looking for options for GLP-1, like Ozempic kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, they're getting blocked. It's like a little force field, right? They're trying to pay with their credit card, but, they can't. They're walking into the doctor's office, but they hit this little force field. And it's like, man, it's not you. It's your healthcare that's not covering it for you. That's why you can't do it. And I was in that situation because I was looking at doing GLP-1 Ozempic, but it would cost me $800 a shot. And I was like, there's no way I could do it. And so when I read that spec, I was literally talking to myself. I was the guy that's like, dude, Charles, it's not your fault. It's your healthcare, man. Like you're trying the things. We know that it's tough for you to not eat that snack or whatever, but this medicine will help you, kind of curb your food noise in your head. But you're trying, but man, like, don't beat yourself up. And when I read that audition, that's how I read it. And when they told me I got the spot, they were like, dude, your audition was fantastic. Like, that was exactly what we wanted. And, they go with then they go with the audition. And it's like, well, great. Perfect. And it's why? Because it's everything like they said. It's like, just be yourself, because they can feel the realness from it, especially for that type of commercial. They really they really needed that. Yeah. And so, it's just, man,
I hate to sound like a cliche.
We hear it so much. It's like, you always hear it, like, be yourself.
Yeah.
You
got to connect.
They want that out. You got to connect this and that.
Right.
And
Jake's story about getting a job, like, right after you submitted it. I got one like that a couple weeks ago, but it was for an equine place that rescues horses. Well, heck, I could relate to that because I have rescues on my place. And when I was reading that, I was like, man, they do great work, and I love what they're doing. And of course, I used our marketing ploy of, hey, this is Troy. I live in so-and-so. I'm on a horse farm with 11 horses. 4 of my horses are rescues. I love what you're doing with this. That doesn't hurt.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now.
They're probably automatically like, oh, well, this guy's with us.
He knows
so
yeah.
And he's a voice actor, and he sounds good, and he's authentic. Yeah, we'll definitely hire him.
Okay, I wouldn't suggest doing this for agency gigs unless they ask you to do it, but definitely on the pay-to-plays. And maybe it wouldn't hurt for some of your maybe if you got some like direct auditions from production houses. I mostly use it on 1, 2, 3. But every audition, hey, my name's Jake. I got 2 takes for you. This one's a little more blah or whatever. Just, something like that. Or even a lot of times I'll just say, hey, thanks for the opportunity. My name's Jake. I got 2 auditions for you. Or I got 2 takes for you. Something like that. Just so they can hear you talking.
Hear your personality.
Hear your personality without touching that. And you guys know who I learned that from?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Chuck Booker, everybody. and Mr. Brad Highland as well. Brad does talk about doing something similar as well.
Yeah, you got to put personality. They're hiring
and that's the thing too. And now they know that there's a second take. So they'll be like, "Oh, okay. Well, maybe that first one didn't hit the nail, but let's see what he has for the second one." And they'll at least listen to the second one instead of just start to listen. It's not really their fit, and then they just go to the next one.
And with experience, as now that we've been doing this for a few years, with experience, and I do this all the time. Actually, just did one just a second ago. Read the copy, thought I understood the mood, the change, where it needed to change, recorded it, and when I finished the take, and they weren't asking for multiples, it was just a pay to play. But when I finished the take, I was like, that probably could start out more down in the dumps and then solve the problem. Even though it was a business, a B2B type thing, and then I gave them that in the second one, and I made sure I went back on the front end and said, hey, the first take is just professional, straightforward, but the second one, it's got a little more feel to it, to where the guy's overwhelmed and then he realizes the solution. And I told them what I did, so they would at least skip over and go, well, what did he do different? We like his voice, okay, but that take's not great. Oh, that second one, that's what
he nailed what we wanted on that.
And you came up with it while you were reading your first one, right?
While I was reading,
So that's another thing too, is like, you'll hear from a lot of people, give at least 2 takes unless otherwise specified. And I definitely agree with that, but don't feel the pressure to come up with both takes on the spot. Maybe read it how you're hearing it. And maybe while you're reading it, you'll come to a realization like Troy did. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it just takes saying something out loud. And sometimes it may not even be how you intend to read it. Try something wild. I'm not saying send it, but read this script like as if you were pissed or if you were a giddy or something, just something to change it. I'm not saying, again, don't send it, but maybe while you're doing that, you hear something or you think of a new scenario that this script could apply and you can connect to it.
Because how many times have you been in a directed session where they're asking for, let's say you do a full read through and then they go line by lines, right?
Yep. 100%.
And then you do an ABC and then they say, oh, let's do the C take on that one, because I really like the way you kind of did that thing right there in the end. It's like, oh, that was nice, right? And it's like you said, once you read it and you try it out, then it's like, oh yeah, like, you know what, I'm gonna say this a little bit like this, because that really makes that feel, that it hits him in the feels right there, or that really kind of pops this thing.
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, if you go too far in that direction, now it sounds unnatural, right? But if there's that natural thing that just comes out, then well, guess what? That's the natural thing that they want from you, because that's what normal people do, right? In those situations.
You flung that one a little too far out in the lake there, buddy. Reel that back. I
Right.
don't think I've had that.
Oh, I definitely have.
I've had them push me. I know you could go a little further with that, you know. I'm like,
Sometimes you have to stretch those muscles, though.
Take what you did in that B take and really push that one.
But that's the announcer in me, because I mean, like, maybe you can kind of hear it in my talking voice, but like, if I can always turn on the Hot Wheels each sold separately voice, and that's where I end up going a lot. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I love that kind of stuff, and I've gotten a couple of things like it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of been phased out. But at the same time, I really like that amped up, you know, it's Nerf or nothing, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. So I love it.
Right. Yeah, like the stuff that, you know, and that's the thing, we all have the things that we like, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, you like that kind of stuff. Alden says he kind of really likes digging into that technical stuff, but
making it sound natural.
Yeah.
Right.
But my favorite reads for me are like the storytelling. The storytelling kind of like too. Calm little storytelling reads for some little narration or product stuff. You know, and that's the stuff that I like.
Charles has had some, and I'm sorry, I know we always seem to end up talking about him so much, but like he has a couple of things out. Like, he's got a Hims commercial out right now, Rise, Superfood, and then Mushroom Coffee, and then the Ozempic one. And they all kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but they all kind of live in that storyteller range, and he's and it's just really good, really, really good spots that he's been putting out there and sharing with us.
The John Deere one, I'm telling you guys,
I know.
If I could get my hands on this John Deere one that's coming out, man,
gonna be epic.
The words and because they had the storyboard, so they had kind of the pictures of what's going to happen. Dude, I can't wait to see this one. But the thing is, I've asked them once. It was just like a follow-up, you know, like, hey, you just want to check and see how everything's going. You know, if you need me for a pickup or something, I'm here. I'd love to see the final, you know, and that was a month ago and they never replied. So I don't want to be that person.
Hey, let me ask you this. You have an email with him, right?
Yeah.
Does he have a signature?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done this once before, but give him, you know, whatever time you feel is appropriate, but give him a call. You know, look for a phone number and a signature. I mean, because look, we all know, and we've talked about this on the show before, we all know that Chuck is good at being personable. I don't want to say a schmoozer because he's genuine about it, but he schmoozes you in a genuine way. You know what I mean? He's just really good at talking you up. So a genuine schmoozer. Schmoozer, yeah. I just feel like I feel like if you gave him a call, turn on that Charles Chuck book and charm.
Yeah, just be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. But that's another thing too. I don't know how it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I know that Charles might be working on something as far as maybe like a breakout session that might pop up at couple of these conferences.
But that's all we'll say about it.
Yeah, that's all we'll say about it. I don't want to get into anything, but if he does do his thing and you are going to a conference, be on the lookout for that. You better go. I promise you, like, I have experienced it firsthand just from being in an accountability group with him, seeing the way he communicates with clients, what he has to offer you, and it could literally change, how. Yeah.
He's doing what a lot of us do. He's applying his past life to this life. But his being the background he's got, it really applies
big time
to this business. You know, some parts of mine do where I was doing, presenting and doing training and stuff like that with people. But our training was different than what his was. His was at a different level. And I think his negotiating skills, his ability, his customer service skills, his ability to talk to people is way above a lot of, normal people's skills. And there are teachable things in there. And I've been saying that as well. He could definitely offer some huge things to a lot of people As you guys know, and I even posted about it, I'm probably next year going to launch some things for newer talent and novice people, but I am not going out there as a top level coach. I'm going out there to take some of these newer people, give them an opportunity to learn some things before they go to those coaches. And I've always offered all these free consultations. So let me tell you what has happened now. My phone blows up all the time at night, on the weekends, whatever. People think they can just ask you stuff out of the blue, and that's okay. But please have respect for all of the people in the industry. They have lives and families and things to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, I don't mind scheduling those free consultations and talking to people for 15, 30 minutes or however long it lasts to figure out what they need or where they're going, and send them to other people. Ask Brad, ask Ryder. I send them people all the time. I refer people constantly.
Same.
But I could prep them for that before they go, where they would get more out of it. And that's kind of what my thinking is on this, is that there's some things and some basic methods I could show them to get them there, because it got me there before I went, so we'll see how that goes. Same with Charles. Charles could really show you tons of ways to the right questions to ask, the right way to word your emails, the right way to when to communicate, when not to communicate, when to shut up sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be great if he's able, because there's nothing like that out there
exactly. And that's the point we've brought up, just talking amongst ourselves, is there's not really like anything out there. Like, look, I know you guys know I took Paul Schmidt's marketing course, and I would not have changed a thing. I love that. I first of all, I love Paul. I think he does
Paul's
great
awesome,
things.
Dude.
Paul's great. Does great things for the voice actors. So if you're curious about his stuff, the VO Freedom, check him out. As always, I learned a lot from Paul, and I still use a lot of what I learned from Paul today, and I have booked work from it. So do that. But something that wasn't quite covered, or at least to this degree, and I'm not sure about Mark Scott stuff. I don't know who's taken Mark Scott. I know he has a lot of people as well. I've heard nothing but good things. But Charles gets into like how you respond to people, things to think about as you're responding. I'm so impulsive. When I write back to somebody, I just write the facts. And my girlfriend has pointed this out to me, like when I'm texting, when I'm writing emails, and you guys know me. I don't mean to be, but like if you read my responses in messages, I can come off as like cold, like really cold, but I'm just responding factually. I'm responding directly. I try to throw in some ha-ha-has and stuff there to like, so I'm joking. But like when I'm responding to you, I'm just like, yes, no, this is what I think, blah, 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 blah. You don't hear the tone I'm saying it in. You don't hear that. But when you read a Charles email or something like that, you're like, man, this guy's so nice. And I don't even have to hear his voice. You know what I mean? Like if he sounds nice in this email, I can only imagine what his voiceover is going to be like. And Charles does it in a way like he's not sending me these emails, but I read the emails that he sends to other people. And you're like, man, this guy's going to respond back to you and want to give you more or something, Yeah. So,
well, I mean, just like today, Jake had called me because he's doing kind of a negotiation with somebody, and just that one wording that we talked about, I was like, remember we were kind of tossing around how we're going to say this beginning thing, and I was like, well, it's going to be, because you had put, I think I have a way that it's going to work out good for you and for me, but instead of I think, it was just showing that little bit of confidence, right? And just saying, I'm tossing around a couple ideas that's going to work out great for both of us.
Or benefit both of us.
Yeah, it's going to benefit. Yeah, it's going to benefit both of us. Right. So then it's like, okay, well, this guy has a plan. Instead of like, well, this, I have something that might work. It's just like, okay, well, I have this plan. It's going to work. It's going to benefit both of us. So now they're going to be like, okay, well, let's see what you got. Right. Instead of like, well, who knows? It might work out for, so it's just all those little things.
Yeah, even in direct marketing, you got to do that, because even in the little introductory short email you send, you got to be confident, but you can't be overly cocky and a jerk,
right? Because
they instantly opt out. And that's something I really finesse and work with. When I send out that stuff, I want to make sure that first one is, I'm hitting the right buttons, but I'm not hitting the wrong buttons, but I'm not going overboard, but I'm only going to do it in about 3 or 4 sentences, because I'm just trying to get my foot in the door where they don't opt out, and there's so much to that you can be trained on.
Dude,
if you're uncomfortable.
I used Vince's thing. Remember when we talked with him and he was talking about, don't say, $500 is not really that much, because to them it might be a lot. It might be just the production head or the video editor that's got the task of finding somebody. I've used this is actually only 12% of what the actual rate is that I would normally get. And I've used that a couple times, and like 3 times they've come back and they're like, a couple times they're like, well, sorry, that's our budget. And then at that point, that's it. Right.
Right.
Then for those people, you say, okay, well, maybe we could tweak the usage a little bit. Right. Cause there's always an option. But for like 3 of them, they've come back and they're like, whoa, like I had no idea that was the rate. Yeah. And so, I've gotten more than what they said they were going to initially had.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all those little things, man. It's all those little things that build up to start really scooting you in the right direction.
Yeah. And they have to be willing to have the conversation, and you set the table for that. So they already see, well, he's negotiable. He'll talk with us. Yep. He's not going to just say, well, I want 100%. Because that's not that way that conversation works. Right. You tell
that's them, not how negotiation works. You can't just come up with a brick wall and then they're like, well, now I have nowhere to go.
And this industry is like real estate. A lot of people think every time they go buy a house, they got to pay 6% commission. No, you don't. That's not fixed. It's negotiable. You can pay 2%. You can pay 12%. It depends on the realtor and the company and whatever. And VO is the same way. Yes, we try to go by these rates, but there are times that
you kind of have to, man. Like you have to, you kind of have to work around it.
Have to. And we want to hit that rate as often as we can, but there are times we get 80% or 70%. And somebody's going to get it. That's the thing. We're not the only person in the bowl they're playing with right there sometimes. But the thing is, like Charles said, if you say, hey, that's only 12, and they go, well, that's all we got, and they're not willing to work with you, then just walk away sometimes.
There's going to be people that you're not going to work with. You know what I mean? And that they don't want to work with you.
And that's the thing. You'll get to a point, it's much tougher when you start, right?
Yes.
But later on, you start going through and you get to a point where you're
experienced. You're
experienced. You're okay. Yeah. You have to be okay with walking
another
away. You
job
have
will
to
come
be
along.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us got into this business so that we could continue to do low dollar jobs.
Oh yeah,
continue to cheap ourselves out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be that voice actor.
Yeah.
So at some point you've just got to say, no, I can't do it for that.
Right. Yeah.
And be okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you have to be able to back that up though, right? You have to be able to say, I'm not, willing to do that work for that price because of my 3 T's right? You're paying for my time, you're paying for my training, you're paying for my time, training, and
technology.
Time, training, and
your
stuff.
It's there.
Yeah, your stuff.
Yeah.
Your stuff.
Nice, Charles.
Just stuff.
Yeah. Time, training, and stuff.
The 3 T's?
Yeah. It's the 3 T's. And I actually learned that one. I learned
time, training, and talent?
Yes, time, training, and talent. Yep.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, because the time that it takes that you're putting in to do this.
I'm a voice actor.
Yeah. And you're paying for that talent, right? You're paying for the equipment, you're paying for everything. So it's not
right. That's right.
So that's the thing. And if you can back that up and you're like, okay, well, I've had a lot of coaching. I've paid for all this stuff. I've done all these things. So I'm not willing to work for that. But, when you're first starting out, like you didn't really have a lot of training yet, you're trying to stand up on these rates, and they're going to be like, well, I'm not seeing anything that is worth more than what I'm offering you. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you get to that point and you have to be willing to step away and be okay with it
So I got a couple of real quick things that I want to cover before we drop off.
Oh no, this is going to be a 3-hour episode.
Right. Have to do a farewell.
Yeah, farewell. Let's make this a.
Well, and I know we're talking farewell, but what I would like to ask is, could we possibly commit to once a quarter?
Oh, at least
that we do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And come back. And we can still drop it as both, on both podcasts if we have to. If people are not following the old Another VO thing, link, we'll drop it on the other one. But I would like for once a quarter, because I think it's going to be interesting to see how all this continues
and how we change.
If you guys phase over or if things change. But what I want to ask is, and this is kind of two-sided and we'll go around the horn. is there anything you've already set in place that you know you want to do or accomplish in 2025? And are you looking to make any kind of, are you happy with your setup, and are you going to make any kind of changes? Alden.
Yes, I am going to make changes.
Oh, yes, I am happy, Troy.
Yeah.
Well,
Next question.
I really let my marketing fall off the cliff late summer, early fall, which, I was discouraged because summer was bad. This was the worst summer I've had doing voiceover. And it kind of, I think a lot of contributing factors that are not all in my control, but some are. And so I got frustrated with marketing, and my marketing has gone off the cliff. So I've got to rebuild my marketing plan and get back at it, because I need new clients.
Do you think you're going to change the way you market from how you were doing it before? Or
Yeah. I want to look at more web-based training organizations to find more of that.
Okay.
So I like that work, and they are bigger jobs, so there's more of a little guarantee there.
Sure.
So one thing I changed, and I'm not sure that I'm going to pick this back up yet. I dropped off VDC, and I dropped off Voice 123. Just the whole auditioning cycle was not working for me. And so I may not pick that back up, but I might. We'll see.
Right. Do you think you'll, for your marketing, this just go back to your marketing, do you think, we know AI is the big bad AI for, whatever, but there's AI can also be a good tool for you, not against voiceover actors, but a tool for you to use. Do you think you might use AI in a way to help your marketing also? Maybe some options to make it easier.
It's being
to
integrated
make it more
into a lot of platforms, so I think inadvertently we all might end up using it to an extent.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right. No, I hadn't really put that much thought about using AI. You mean like for finding leads, or for
maybe however AI can be used, maybe for finding leads, maybe for running
generating
through a program, generating your messages, running names through programs that come back and show that it's it is a live lead, that is an email that works or whatever. Just different options that AI might be able to give you.
I would consider that. I'm not as AI literate as some younger people are.
Yeah.
So
Skibbity, Ohio. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. So the major change for me that I will be making going into 2025 is really getting back on the marketing train, because that worked for me. And over the weekend, I heard from a client that I reached through the marketing a year ago.
Yes, I love those stories.
And that's what it takes.
For sure. And this is just, have you thought about asking, like, the guy that's giving you the reoccurring WBT right now, have you asked them by chance? Because think about this, and maybe this isn't something, and maybe you don't feel comfortable doing it. Yeah. Like, have you thought about asking them for references? Because he's got to.
I should do that.
100%.
Because I've worked with them for a couple years now, and
it's not like it'd be taking work away from them or anything like that. It's just, do they know other people? Because look, we all we have conferences for voice actors. We know other voice actors, and I know people who have referred other voice actors to, like, hey, I'm not good for this fit, but this guy might be. Same kind of thing. It's like, hey, do you know other people that do similar work in your area that need this kind of work? Because I'd love to reach out to them, kind of thing. That just and that just popped into my head while you were talking about that, and I'm thinking, I've not even done that with like people that I've talked about.
So for web-based training, a lot of that is very niche. So they don't necessarily do web-based training for everything that needs training, but for in their niche,
right?
So they may say, well, that doesn't fit my niche, but
hey, 100%, because I have two ladies that use me for web-based trainings. The first lady recommended me to the other lady, and she's with a different company, but they're friends because they met at an L&D, Learning and Development Conference.
Yep.
And
exactly. That's what I was thinking.
They're in two sides of the United States. And then the one that she referred me to, that lady, she works in a big company that does e-learnings, and she referred me to somebody else in her own company in another L&D group that does web-based trainings. Yeah. So I'm working with her also. So that's 100%. And because they, for L&D, they get they have to build the modules out. They have to do whatever. But if they have a good voice actor, and this one's like, yeah, I send my stuff to Alden, he gets it back. It's always clean. I rarely have to do any pickups unless it's like one of our changes, and then he labels everything like it should be, and it's like a dream. So then, they're like, I love this guy. Use him, try him. And then try him, and then next thing you know, then they're like, yes, I love, thank you. I've been looking for Alden for all these years,
I got a referral from doing a phone system for Bobcat and Vermeer stores in Texas, Louisiana. And oddly, the referral came after an audition on voices.com. So I did the audition, and I told them, I said on the front of the audition, hey, I just did all the voicemails for Vermeer, and it was for Vermeer. They were coming out with some kind of new drill, and I got the job. But they literally called the Texas Vermeer people and asked them first, how was he to work with? And secondly, are you okay if we use his voice? Because,
cool.
They're a big, a lot bigger.
Yeah. They're actually calling over to listen to your IVR. So they answer and they're like, can you please hang up and let me go through the IVR?
Yeah. Don't answer.
But they're a huge Vermeer dealer in Texas, Louisiana. So Vermeer had the respect for them to say, is it okay if we use that voice? And they said, hey, we think it'd be neat, to tie it together. So it may lead to more down the road.
Yeah, my Texas bookings have gone down this year. I think it's because Troy's snatching them all.
I'm trying to get
I'm booking in Kentucky. I'm booking in Georgia and up in your area, but you're booking everything that's down here.
Isn't that funny how that works though? Yeah. I mean, I booked a local Christmas tree farm, and
that's a good commercial.
That's a really good commercial.
That was a fun
one. Good one.
And then I'll end up probably doing the the Strawberry Festival that goes on TV here for Portland. I usually get that every year, but I
usually get that every year.
Well, it's because I'm cheap, I guess.
Strawberries.
But they may not this year because I'm not rejoining the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh no!
I just kind of decided I looked at the ROI and it's just not there.
Yeah,
I understand. If it's not worth your time, it's not worth your time.
I don't go to the meetings. I don't live in the city. So I don't feel as connected. The president that was there that had a good relationship with, she's gone. The new one that's there, I've never heard from him. I did 2 years of podcast for him. Yeah, didn't really.
See, that's the difference though, Troy, is you've actually tried that. That's another little way to try something.
Yeah,
and in this business, you got to try. You have to try stuff. You can't be too afraid to try things.
And like you said at the beginning, there's not one right path. It's different for everyone. Everyone.
Yeah, and this is a very industrial town. So my thought was, with all the industry here, a lot of automotive, a lot of distribution, a lot of big places that have a lot of people working there, and they have to be doing, internal training and this, and having, changes in benefits and all that. Surely they do a lot of videos, or they do this. Apparently not, because you go to all these chamber meetings, you put your stuff out. And I told you guys, my pitch was I would hold up my little speaker and play my demo so they could hear it, but it just didn't lead to what I thought. If I just pick up 3 or 4 jobs a year, it's worth paying this $200 fee. Sure. Then they pay me to do their commercial. And then finally they turned around and said, we're just going to give you your membership. How about we give you the membership in exchange for the commercial? And I was like, sure, that's fine. So then I had my free membership for a year where I could go market for a year for nothing and spend an hour doing that one little spot.
Yep.
But, I picked up a screen printer, and I picked up this Christmas tree farm who will, probably run 1 spot a year or 2 maybe, but it doesn't offset it.
Talking about trying little different things, I got a job. So our HOA, right, our subdivision has a Marine Creek Ranch Facebook group, right? And then somebody was like, hey, if you guys have a business, go ahead and post it, and we'll do a business Tuesday or whatever they call it, or once a month they have a business thing. So people will be like, Christmas lights. I do Christmas lights. I do home repair. I do this, that, and the other thing. I do hair salon. I do babysitting. I do baking. And I just put on there, I was like, hey, I do voiceovers. So any of you guys that are, that are business owners and you want a voiceover for your business, whether you can play it on social media clips or whatever, hit me up. And here's my website and here's some stuff that I did. And I do one for a guy for Christmas lights this year.
Because of that post?
Because of that post in a Facebook group.
Did you get paid for it?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I was laughing, but I'm just like because you know how like often how often do you come across someone who's a voice actor? I mean, like you don't. And again, I feel like outside of cartoons, people don't think about voiceovers. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, like I mean, we hear voices every day on the radio, on our TV, on our phone. I mean, like, and you don't unless it's like obviously character work or whatever. Like, you're not thinking about the fact. Not that if you thought about it, you wouldn't think about this, but you're not thinking about the fact that someone got paid to do that or that that's a job or whatever. So I can only imagine just coming across a post like, I do this, I do that. I'm a voice actor. And it's like, what? Like, is this for real? But obviously you were able to back it up with your website and stuff like that. But it's just in my mind, I'm like, you said something about, did you say something about like a dog, a dog sitter's on there or whatever?
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, how random. It's like, dog sitter, like, I'll do your personal grocery shopping. I'll voice your social media ads.
Yeah.
Hey,
That kind of just sounds ridiculous.
Most people think it's the radio and TV people that do it all.
Right.
They really do. It's all done at the TV station or the radio station.
Oh, and on that same group, there's a guy that owns a radio station. It's the largest country music station in Texas that is an online radio station. It's the Star or something, I can't remember. But I did a bunch of tags for him. Yep,
Cool.
and that was through the Facebook group.
Cool.
Wow. Good for you, dude.
Yep. And his wife's a realtor. Yeah. And his wife's a realtor.
All these checks.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's work out there, and there's unique ways to find them.
Tours from her.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
To do.
But the time that I talked to her was when like realtors were selling houses before they even put them on the market. Like it was just they had 10 people in line, so she didn't really need it at the time.
That exclusive property, I did a couple a while back. First, it was just land in Montana, and they had done drone flyovers and all this, and I'm narrating it in the old Montana cowboy voice, which is great for that. But then I've done some for luxury homes or luxury places, even in Nashville and Brentwood, and it's they like a nice announcery type voice. Walk into this beautiful, spacious, whatever.
What's a whatever?
They're fun to do.
So we kind of got off track when we, for some reason. Well, I say for some reason because
I'm like, what
did.
were we talking about?
Yeah, well,
I'm the only one making changes next year.
Well, no.
Oh,
I definitely plan.
right.
Yeah, I was like, basically. So Alden told us about the changes he plans on making, and then that's kind of where we got off topic.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, maybe.
So Charles, what about 2025? Any equipment updates or any crazy things that you're thinking about for 2025, or something you're going after you hadn't went after?
Yeah. I'm going to, what I want to do is I want to update my commercial demo because I listened to it, and the one I have from Chuck Duran is awesome. I might keep one or two spots, but I know there's, 2 or 3 that I can definitely, I can beat the pants off the way I read it the first time.
Yeah.
Because my commercial demo is like almost 4 years old now.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I want to update my commercial demo. So the thing that I really want to get into is I want to get into like in-show narration.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dirty
writer.
Jobs or
That'd be fun.
Oh, dude,
so much
kill
fun.
that.
I love those shows. I love talking about, I love feeling like part of that show and really guiding people through stuff and being sometimes the sage on the stage, but most of the times the guide on the side, right?
Yeah.
But just kind of help people go through those things. And so maybe I'm thinking in 2025, I'll do a in-show narration demo and start getting into that. I do.
There you go.
Yeah, I do have a coach picked out. And then standing on rates, I want to hopefully we'll see buy another home in China in the town that I used to live in and stay over there for the summer months because the price for the house that I can be over there, as long as I have a strong internet connection, I'll have to flip flop like my buddy DJ Dykes. He lives in Korea and he's doing amazing right now. He just did the promo for like the NBA something or other. Like it was a big
that's
deal.
dope.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the Emirates Cup?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so,
Wow.
if I could stay in China over the summer during the scorching hell months that are over here.
Yeah.
In Texas, at least.
Yeah. In Texas. Then, and then that way we could see family over there. Jenny can see, we could see friends.
And that way she'd have a place to stay when other than like staying at a hotel, or something like that.
Yeah.
When she flew over there.
Yeah. Then we have a place over there also.
Likely rent it out when you're not there.
Airbnb it or something?
Or is that a
Honestly,
thing over
it's so cheap that we just keep the place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
there?
All right.
That's neat.
And
Cool.
then,
That's really neat. I hope that pans out.
Yeah, and then get then I'll probably get a nice booth and put it in the house.
Oh, of course. You'd
Yeah.
have to.
And then just run the business from there.
I'm sure they
Cool.
make a knockoff
cool.
studio bricks in China somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
Similar.
They had to have something, and if not, you'll wait
it's
for
called
some houses
studio
to be built
blocks.
and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, studio blocks. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll ship it to you. So
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Jake, you kind of hit on some things. You said, "No, I don't have anything. I'm happy," but I mean, you got to have some plans for what.
Oh no, I was doing Alden. No,
Okay.
I do. Okay. I really think I should check out promos, like getting into promos. I don't know exactly what promos for sure. I do, but I don't. I don't know what else I could do, but I feel like I could do like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, wonderful, like, stuff like that, unless they've changed. I mean,
so you're in Deb Sperling's group. I mean,
I am.
You went to, okay, but let me go a step further. She will have some promo workshops coming up. Go. Because the connection you may make there may be what you're looking for. It's worth the money.
I just not have done any kind of promo, so I would be going in kind of blind outside of what I think.
Most people in there do.
Okay.
She only has, I think, 10 people. You only do one read. But the thing is, you get to watch the other 9.
Right.
And and if as long as you're not the first one to go, you're in good shape. But you will pick up a lot. And it will also give you some insight into, is this for me or not? And it's not a big investment. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I liked it.
So it's not. So does she doesn't lead it then? Is that correct?
No, she doesn't lead it.
Does she just kind of hang in there?
Yeah, it's kind of like the stuff that Mary Lynn does.
Right. Okay.
They moderate it. They bring them in. Like I went to the one she had, a long time ago with Roger Becker, and that's how I ended up with Access Talent.
See. Okay. Good deal.
This one is Matt Ambrose. I can't remember his last name.
We'll have to be on the lookout for that one then. But yeah, I just
she's
always
got sign-ups right now, I think.
Yeah.
So take a look.
I just, and I don't know, maybe there's a ton of me, in this range or whatever, but I always just feel like I could do like those, like coming up next on HGTV, you know what I mean? Something like that, I have that kind of like, I've watched so much TV growing up that I just feel like I have some kind of
a natural inclination,
idea, like a general idea. And that's another thing too. And not to get off topic, like we always do. That's another thing too. You have to have a touch of that in the genres you want to work in. You have to have some kind of natural understanding of how this works out, and a good coach will tell you where they see that natural.
And I've heard you talk about doing that stuff in the car to aggravate your girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
And I'm the world's worst. We're sitting there on the couch watching something, and it'll come on, blah blah blah, Ford trucks, and then I'm mimicking, I'm saying the tagline, and of course she's so used to it, she doesn't pay attention that much.
Right.
Anymore, but I'm like, I could do that, and she said, yes, you could, honey.
Okay, so it's funny you say that because I do the same thing, and it's always like the truck commercials or like the tough commercials. Yeah. I'll mimic what they say, and then Jenny will look at me. She's like, "No, honey, the voice that's on there is the one." I'm like,
but sometimes I don't even need it.
I'll go
like,
for Poe and Kung Fu Panda, skadoosh,
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even need it to be like a brand or something. I came walking into the kitchen one time, and on a grocery bag it said asparagus, and I just went asparagus. And like, just stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, so
it makes your urine rancid.
Right.
Your pee's gonna smell bad.
Hey, are you looking for your pee to smell funny? Eat asparagus.
Yeah.
Well, we just wanted to get back together and let everybody know we haven't fell off the face of the earth. We're all still out here doing our thing and chugging along.
Definitely so.
Life got in the way. after OVC. My wife had back surgery right before OVC. I'm supposed to have it December 16th, but now insurance is saying you haven't had 6 months of continual treatment, so we're not approving your surgery. So I may not even be having it this year. We go Wednesday for a follow-up, so we'll find out. But we all got busy. We had these changes. We've all been talking to each other all during this time. But we just haven't gotten back together. And so we wanted to button up another VO podcast because we've had so much freaking fun doing this.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And we've had a lot of people ask what happened, why did you guys stop and whatever. And we appreciate that. And we wanted to let you know we're all still here and we're going to try to get together at least once a quarter. You heard us commit to that and at least meet up and talk. And if we do it more often and if it rolls into more, that's great because we really enjoy it and we enjoy each other's company and we still lean on each other pretty heavily. So,
we talk all the time.
Daily.
Parting notes about the podcast we built and that we're kind of letting her go and, let us, say your piece. Here we go. Alden.
Oh man, it's been a blast doing this. And I still love getting together with you guys. I miss this.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely miss this. And, I will say that another reason we just kind of let it go is because there weren't any super pressing topics that we felt like we still needed to cover. I think, folks can go back and listen to all of our podcasts and hear great stuff, which I'm personally proud of. And I think all of us should be.
The industry doesn't need any more VO podcasts. There's plenty of them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of them.
Yeah.
And there's some new ones that have come along and, and I'll try to listen to them and I can't because it's like you said, you can only beat these dead horses so long. Now, when something new comes up and something pops up, that's different, but you can only beat them so long.
Yeah. Without pertinent topics to cover, it's just talk. And we could just talk and maybe that is entertaining enough.
We could.
But, for me, I'm motivated to cover actual, business building topics.
And you can only
really
interview,
get people going.
The same people are on all the podcast interviewing, and we always try to go at a different perspective and get more personal and learn more about them as a person. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
And same with me. I just enjoy it. Jake.
This has been really wild. I think honestly, like my voiceover career kind of took a turn in a good way when I started being on this podcast and making connection with you, Troy, and you, Alden, initially, how it all played out. Because I'm trying to think, we got together, was it basically right before Christmas 2022?
Yeah.
Or is that when we had that mock audition?
Yes.
At very first? Yeah. Because that's kind of right, and that's kind of what kickstarted everything off for our relationship and stuff like that. And that's kind of wild to think about. That was 2 years ago. And I'm now thinking about it being 2 years ago is weird because that means, I remember, I don't know. It's just been a really good time. I'm glad we did this. I'm glad that, that we brought Charles on. I'm glad that, I don't know. It's just been a lot of fun. There was a moment where I was at One Voice and I was volunteering, obviously. And I was talking to the two ladies, Emma and Hannah Ward. If you go to the conference, you know who they are. They're great. And there was a gentleman signing in. I think it was Julio Leon or Leon. Yeah. And I was talking to them or something like that. And he introduced himself to them and he turned to me and he goes, "I'm Julio." And I said, "Oh, hey, I'm Jake." And then his face lit up and he goes, "I thought I recognized your voice. I listened to your podcast."
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, that's
cool.
Really cool, man."
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then he told me, and then he proceeded to tell me how he was fanboying seeing Charles.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So it helped.
It does. It is. It's just a really cool feeling knowing that there are listeners out there is really what I'm getting at. But it's fun. But not only that, it's been really cool to talk to some people. I know we got to meet a couple people that I know have listened to the podcast. Matthew Hooks for one. So thanks again, Matthew. We got to see, we actually had him on the podcast for a couple words when we were doing our live podcast at the thing.
Yeah.
So it's just been, I think I really like meeting listeners who have actually listened. And if they've taken anything away from it, even if it was just one small thing, if you took something away from this, I think that's what's really cool to consider when you think about being on a podcast. And I'm glad to be a part of something positive for other people in their VO journeys.
100%. Because, sometimes it's just because I think we do run our podcast a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're more conversational kind of, we have our little topics, but
we don't follow a train. I mean, we don't follow like ABC.
And then also, I think it's good because other people can see that, oh, like these guys have been through the same thing that I'm going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, okay, so I'm not alone. They struggle with that too. But these guys, they booked all these things and they have all these different things. It's like, okay, well, that's because they worked together and figured it out. So it maybe gives them a little bit of hope too,
Yeah. And this has all been real. It's been like, we didn't go out and try to beat the bushes and have commercials and interruptions. It was just good conversational flow. Mm-hmm. And I know, Charles, you kind of came into that a little late, but I can remember way back. I had you on VO Life as one of the interviews.
Was it VO Life or was it the VO Ladder?
It could have been. No, I think it was VO Life. I think it was right when I changed it over from VO Ladder. And and some of the people I look back that I had on there, people probably wouldn't even know who they are, but they were struggling and doing what I was doing, and I wanted them to, come on and talk about it. And back then we were really struggling. I mean, we were having a tough time trying to get our foot in and get going, and we knew so little, but by week after week after week, you keep working at it and going at it, you can make it, but this just shows you how long it takes.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah,
I'm going into, I started, so with 2025 coming up, in the middle of 2025, that's my 5th year. I've hit my 5th year. Like January is 3 years full time. I start my, 3 years full time done. I'm going into year 4 full time in January. It blows my mind, when I look back at that and think how hard it was to get there. And then I saw this really hateful, nasty post yesterday from somebody, and I won't name the name, who was dissing people for coming to conferences and speaking who were not making that much money and who were coaching and only been in it for a few years and and they were just really blasting publicly that. And that bothered me because this was a ladder, exactly like what it started out as. And I went to a few conferences for a few years, and then I had something to offer and was asked to speak. And even though I was only 3 years in, that didn't mean I didn't know what I was talking about. There are a lot of people who work very hard and do a lot of things in their first 3 to 5 years. And there are some people who, and we know them, who are just hanging around. They love to be in the groups. They like to come to the conferences. They're not really pushing that hard to have a big career or anything. They just like hanging around. That's fine too. Those are not the people you're going to see speaking at the conferences. It's the people that are hustling and trying to do something and trying to share. And we don't do that stuff to make money off of it. I don't go there to get people to come to me and pay me to teach them stuff. I do it to share because I love sharing. I love helping, love teaching.
And we've been there. We've been there. Like, I remember when we were struggling with this. Yeah. It's like, hey, and I found out a way to kind of navigate this to where you're not beating yourself over the head, and I want to share it. Yeah. And because you just want it to be a little bit easier for somebody that's going through that thing or that's thinking about this struggle that's coming up. And it's just good to give back, man.
Yeah, and if people have a connection with that, whether it's a connection with what I've been through, what you've been through, Jake, Alden, whatever, if they have a connection with that and hear it here, I think that's great. And that's all we're looking to do is, hey, connect with one of us, and you can reach out to us. We'll share more with you or whatever we can do to help you. But like I said earlier, we are people who have families. We have girlfriends, we have wives, we have kids, we have this.
Girlfriends,
We don't like to, well, Jake does. And
I do.
We may not answer you immediately when you send a text or a message, but we'll get back to you. We'll answer your stuff and get back to you. But sometimes I like to put my phone on my dresser and leave it there on the weekend or walk away.
Yeah, I know.
It's glued to my hip.
I know I should, and I'm probably the same way most of the time. But like yesterday, my son was here. We were out working on my shop building, tearing a bunch of rotten wood off and putting new stuff on. I'm not taking my phone out there and looking at stuff in between when I'm spending time with him. He's soon to be 21 years old here in January and, growing into a man. And, the kid days are over. And as a dad, you start missing that and you want to bond with him. He's now my friend as much as he is my son. You know, so I treasure that time, and I'm not going to answer those messages during that time. And I had to learn to be respectful of other people's time as well. When I came into this, I was just as bad. On Saturday nights, I'd be, you know, what about this? What should I do? You know, and I learned the hard way. Somebody scolded me, and once they scolded me, I learned. You know, it made sense to me.
Well, there's no job or career that's worth giving up your life.
Right.
You know, so you can pursue this.
Sure.
And voiceover is no different. Yeah, it takes a lot to build this business, and it's a big commitment to be available to clients.
Right.
But I think everyone out there understands your clients. If they're in a hurry, they'll get someone else, and it'll be fine. Yeah, that'll be okay.
Yeah,
that
happened to me when I was in Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
My lesson learned was I will never again use out of office on Outlook. Never, because I had my phone. I was answering email, but why did I put that on there? And because the out of office popped up, they didn't read the body of the email. They only saw out of office, and they moved on to person number 2.
Yeah,
and
but there's going to be other clients.
A good job.
There'll be other clients and other people to work with,
and they may. And this client may come back.
Lesson learned,
that's a lesson learned. Like I'm leaving Wednesday morning to go to Sovas, and I'm going to be out until Monday, and I'm going to send all my emails out to everybody today. That says, hey, I'm going to be unavailable, but I will have a travel rig with me if there's something that's an emergency.
Yep.
But I'll be checking my emails in the morning and in the evening, right? So that's but the thing is, I should have sent this email out last week, right? I should have sent it out last week, Monday, and said, hey, I'm going to be leaving next Wednesday. If you have something, right, in the pipeline, get it to me now, and then I'll have time to record it and do any pickups if you need them.
Yeah.
And so that was my mistake, because now I'm saying, hey, I'm going to be gone, and it's like, oh, he's going to be gone, and if there was something in the pipeline, it might go to somebody else.
Yeah,
or
there's
if,
not that
if they can wait, they can wait. You know, but it's crunch time at the end of the year. A lot of the Black Friday stuff is done, but you're still getting Christmas things. You're still getting holiday things. I'm already getting New Year's stuff.
Yeah,
I've already done Q1 for next year stuff. You know, so yeah,
it's going to be a busy month likely.
Yeah.
It's looking that way.
Yep.
Guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I may break this into a couple episodes. So
it has been a long one.
40
hour
minutes
and
each
15
or something.
minutes.
Yeah, I may do that. But everybody, as we said, we'll try to get together once a quarter at least and update you on how everything's going. And, you know, these guys can pop in and out of VO Life as much as they want. I try to record something every couple of weeks, and they know they're welcome to come sit with me and you know, talk on there. You know, it's not there's no thing that says that's just my podcast and you can't come. That's not the way it is. But thanks a bunch, guys. I mean, I've had a blast doing this. I know we're not done, but it's nice to kind of close this up so people kind of know why we stopped. And,
right.
you know, we have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning when we
didn't have a
started,
fight.
it's nice to see. It's a good feeling to see all our faces in the little four squares again.
It is.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
We're not the Eagles. We, you know, hell didn't freeze over and we didn't break it. But we do appreciate your listenership, your following, and all that. And you know, who knows? This episode may blow up, and we may say, we better do another one." Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll cross bridges as we come to them. But thanks, folks, for joining us. We appreciate it. Alden, final words.
That's it. That's, you know, I'm just thankful for you guys, and thankful for the opportunity we had. And we're not strangers. We're going to keep meeting together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Charles?
I just want to say to everybody listening, if this goes out before New Year's, have a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And just hope that 2025 brings you the dreams that you're going for. Hope that it's a time to grow. It's a time to reflect on things, and you know that it's, if you run into some downs, there's always the ups, right? And so I just wish everybody a happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
Cool.
Top that, Jake. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on, Jake. What you got?
I just wanted to say that to anybody that's listening, if this is before New Year's, I'm just kidding. I can't follow that. But thank you all for listening. It's been really cool. And I wish you the best. And I can't wait to check in with you guys the next time we get on here and just maybe see what's changed then. But
100%.
Yeah, no, go back and listen to our episodes if you're just catching this for the first time. There is tons of knowledge, tons of insight, tons of stuff
shenanigans,
tons of maybe mistakes that we've made. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you'll go back and find something that maybe doesn't apply, but there's stuff in there for everybody. Go and listen if you haven't, because we had a great time making it, and I think you'll get stuff out of it.
Awesome. It'll be a good investment of their time.
That's right. An investment of your time. That's right. Unless you put on your earbuds and pay attention.
Go for a walk. Listen to us.
Hey, thanks, guys. We'll talk soon.
Hi, I'm Mandy Fisher, and you're listening to another VO podcast.
Hey, this is Jenna Birmingham, and you're listening to another VO podcast. A place where VOs can learn about stuff like improv, for example, and how important it can be in VO, because you never know when you might need to say something funny off the cuff. Like right now, when I can't think of anything.
Hey there, J. Rodney Turner here. If you need a little entertainment, or if you want to break up the monotony of your day, listen to another VO podcast. These four boys won't steer you wrong, I promise.